Yes.
Yes.
Rock and
Awesome.
roll.
You know, I wasn't sure what you were playing but at some point I thought you were playing the best of both worlds.
No, it's on the OU812 album.
Yeah. Sammy Hagar.
I think arguably the last great Van Halen album. And it's the last song. It's called Apolitical Blues.
Okay.
Yeah, just in time for the AI apocalypse, right?
We're here, man. It's happening.
With
how did you end up as an analyst? You remind me of a friend of mine who said to me once, I moved to LA with my speed metal band in the 80s and then realized I was never going to make any money at all and started working in a DVD shop and then met like some whatever. Have you always been able to play like this?
Have I been? No. I've been a consultant, tech consultant back in the day, developer, solution architect, blah, blah, blah. The whole 9 yards, project manager, business transformation consultant, CIO advisor, blah, blah, blah. The whole, all kinds of shit.
No professional musician in there.
Huh?
No professional musician in there. Why not?
No, I know. It's because in particular, my mom, she said that if, my parents, they told me if I ever become a professional musician, they'll disown me. You must be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah. This is as old as time itself. The parents saying, you need to get a real job. And
Right.
But it turns out, here, I'll tell you a funny story. One of my buddies went to USC guitar school. And this guy's like the biggest mooch in the world. You would never think that this guy would do well, right? Friggin' ends up working for Saban and what is it? The Power Rangers. He ended up composing and actually performing a lot of the music for these kids shows. But then he also did all those little jingles and Friends, like when, they had after the commercial break or whatever these trends, he did all those little jingles. Dude, the dude made so much money. So I saw him in Hollywood, I don't know, this might be about 10 years ago, and he was doing his little private concert. He'd written some songs, and he's up on stage performing for a pretty small crowd. Nobody knows who he is, right? Amazing guitar player, by the way. Even when we were young, he was just like a freak. He sits there, has all these really expensive guitars, right? Like Martins and stuff like that. He's playing them, and the dude's like just chucking them on the ground like they're worthless. The paper. Yeah, I was like watching this guy going, dude, what are you doing? That's like a $5,000 guitar that you're just like. I mean, that was yeah, he makes so much in royalty money that he can afford to just chuck a $5,000-$6,000 Martin guitar on the floor like it's
and we're getting
under Strat.
And where's the sound engineer right now? We're getting some static.
Yeah,
and a little hiss.
Who's that?
There, now it's gone.
You know what? It's going to be called the sound check. Sound problem.
Check. Test 1, 2.
Check. Going to be checked. Well, you know what, Leonard, Alistair and Pete and I are officially your new parents, and we're going to tell you to stop wasting your life with this tech stuff and go on the road with guitars.
Whiskey a go-go. Whiskey a go-go.
Yes.
Next stop.
Yes. Stop wasting your time with this boring tech stuff, man.
Really?
You should be rocking.
AI is a dead end.
No, you know,
Man.
I could probably become a studio. You know, the thought has
Yeah.
why don't I just write some of my songs and publish them, and then maybe make $2 a month off of Spotify.
Yes, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
The royalties. Actually, and the aforementioned friend of mine who, with a speed metal band, is now a movie composer and did all the music for Hurt Locker and Batman and
Oh wow,
makes
that's amazing.
Makes a bomb. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Everyone, welcome to IoT Coffee Talk, and remember to take us seriously at your own dire peril. And we highly recommend that you take out insurance, especially if you decide to do anything really stupid, actually heeding anything that we see, because we're here just to have fun. We're here for, I guess, semi-informational purposes. So,
that's right. This is entertainment. We're not stock advice. Feeling really bad for all the people with their Amazon stock cratering right now.
Microsoft stocks not.
Oh, Microsoft just free fall. Yeah.
Lost $1.5 trillion.
Ouch.
But who's counting?
Ouch. But who's counting?
But you know what's funny is Apple is doing pretty well. They're just going.
The one company who didn't go all in with AI is doing the best.
Yeah, because this is what's going to happen. They're waiting for the fire sale.
They're going to pick up one of these companies for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to happen. They will. Because you know what? I mean, it's something that I've been saying for a long time. These guys are going asset light. You know, this is a 3-year-old narrative. And, you have all these guys saying, oh, you need to buy Perplexity for $14 billion now. I mean, is it... How smart
on that topic, if you look at the Google results, which is really interesting, they hold in about 400 billion in revenue, which is amazing. About 300 billion was search, which is 17%. So for them, and they're doing a good job with Gemini and integration into workspace and stuff. But the two big things were people are using a lot more search because it's AI powered search now. So that's solid business model, all day, all night.
Yeah.
And then the other thing they're doing is they're gaining market share in the cloud because they've been in a deep third place behind Microsoft and Azure. So they grew big on the cloud because there's a lot of upside there. Companies are really doing well. The issue is, but they also said they're going to spend 180 billion on CAPEX infrastructure. So,
but nobody likes. The thing is the TAM actually for advertising is limited. It's not infinite unless you gin up impressions and you inflate the market with synthetic engagement.
Oh my God, I just love all the words you're saying there, because that's what we are all about, is ginning up hype and engagement.
Ginning up with synthetics.
Synthetic data. Right?
If that's what we need, we're going to bring synthetic data. We're all about that. Exactly.
By the way, speaking of synthetic data, where is Steve Broomer? I thought his synthetic Steve.
Yeah, I did get that email from his AI that was taking notes last time.
A little pre-read. No, it was a little pre-read.
Yeah,
AI bot giving us a little heads up. So I thought that was cool.
If he's on the beach right now, which he probably is, he should get on. He's loving life, man.
He said his AI bot was on.
His crypto's not doing all that great right now, but
Bitcoin is sliding hard.
Yeah, exactly. What was interesting is we've seen so many companies lately, tech companies, and they actually blow out their earnings on the top and bottom line, and then their stock just collapses anyway. And so we're seeing a lot of that. And then Amazon came out and they missed. They had a miss. And I was like, well, maybe the stock will go up because it's a miss. No, it's in a mega free fall.
Go ahead.
No, and the market's not happy about, because they also announced the insane CAPEX they're going to be spending in the coming year. And the market's not loving that.
Yeah.
The thing I'd heard about, like SaaS companies, for example, like Salesforce, whatever, I mean, a lot of these folks are getting pounded. One of the problems is that, first of all, it's unclear what AI is going to do with their value prop. But the other thing is, frankly, because of the tech layoffs, there's less seats to sell your SaaS into. So think about that as the constrict, there's less seats, the enterprise seats, because of the layoffs, there's less revenue for the SaaS companies.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's kind of weighing down on some of these folks too. So it's a lot of different factors. And it was like, I don't know if you saw Bob O'Donnell published a good article this week about business models.
Yeah, I read that. That was good. That was good.
Good, because like you look at Google, they have a business model. It's called ads. Okay, I get it. AI-powered ads makes sense, but like generic chatbots as a business model, you can see with like Copilot, it's like, hey, $30, per user. It's like, what are you using it for? Well, do stuff. It's like,
yeah, but you know what? I think
more stuff.
I think a lot of what the problem with this business model discussion is a lot of folks haven't really looked at the economics of the tokenomics, right? How much does it cost to
Did you just make up a new word?
No, it's been around forever. It's like the most despicable term ever.
Tokenomics.
Yeah.
Wow. Love that.
Come on, dude. Don't tell me you don't know what tokenomics is. No one else does.
I thought it was from Cheech and Chong.
Tokenomics.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is a byproduct of smoking a lot of pot. So yeah,
there is a connection in there.
Yeah, there is. There's a connection. But no. I mean, it's easy to shoot the shit about business models, and revenue models. But the thing is, people aren't thinking this through. What's highly discounted is the old way of doing stuff, which is highly efficient. It will trump the economics of all this agentic stuff. Because, I gave a talk at MD&M West. And
MDMA?
Yeah, MD&M West. It's the Medical Devices and Design and Manufacturing Conference. It's actually really good. I was surprised that nobody has visibility to the economics of agentic AI, and there's a lot of problems because you might have this singular task that you might want to try to cost out a unit cost. You can't do that because you don't know how many tokens will be burned every single time. This is one of the biggest problems that developers have at the moment. And this is why you're seeing this constant isolation of things. Also, how do you instantiate these agents and the whole stack that you have to deploy? And in order to make it secure, how much cost goes into actually making it secure? People have not thought any of this stuff through.
Right.
And so so these people in Wall Street, I will guarantee you, don't know any of this shit. None of it. They know nothing. They know. They're like freaking AI junks.
A lot of the real cost, the back end cost, is hidden anyway. So you're not actually seeing reflected the full cost of the infrastructure that's running in the background. And of all of the things that are going on, the need to focus on how we make data center infrastructure more efficient, I think I struggle to think of a more important issue right now, particularly the energy consumption profile of data centers and the water consumption profile. I mean, they're building data centers the size of small cities at the moment, which as you said, that has not been thought through. The implications of that have not been thought through. I was interested to see what people thought about what Maltbot, Clawbot, whatever it's called today. Implications of that. I mean, I've been playing around with that a bit, and it's lumpy. I mean, it's not a consumer friendly experience yet, but as a model, as a distributed sovereign AI running on your own infra, that's kind of the other end of the spectrum because the full cost of running that. Because you're paying electricity bill.
Definitely. I mean, it's rife with all kinds of kind of security and privacy things. So someone will commercialize it, and someone will put some trust and security guardrails around it to make it work. I mean, I could see if I was in Windows right now, if I was still in Windows, I would say we need to be all in on figuring out how to do kind of personal agentic stuff that spans across platforms. Uses Microsoft infrastructure. So someone's going to do it. But I think that, that idea of running, these models locally with known cost, like you said, it's inevitable.
I just got to say, I know it's dangerous to use it and all that kind of stuff, depending on how many rights you give to it. But I just have to applaud. I'm just loving it because every tech company has been talking about agentic AI and how they're going to build all this stuff. And guess what? They didn't do it. One guy built this thing. One guy vibe coded the shit out of it. And it works. And it's going crazy. And the whole world's talking about it. And it's not some big company. And all big companies are caught flat-footed going, oh crap, some guy in a garage built this thing. Holy shit. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, but you know what I'm looking forward to is RSAC, the conference, the security conference. I want to see what the reaction is there. Like I jokingly said that, you know, a lot of the folks who are doing keynote or doing presentations are frantically working on changing their presentation.
Yeah, exactly.
You should let it loose. You should bring it into the conference and let it loose and have it go all over the internal network and just drive everybody crazy. We'll see how good that security is they got there.
But, you know, Pete makes a good point. You know, it's something that is frightfully, it's a frightening thing with potential. But if you can make it safe, that's a great business, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of the middle ground between.
It's what Red Hat did.
It also gets a lot of stickiness.
The Red Hat model.
Personal agent that sort of has access to your things and is trained on your stuff. It's a very sticky model.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really going to swap that out for another one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of retraining.
You know,
yeah,
we should get one. We should get one going and have it hooked into our Zoom account for this meeting.
I think
have another presenter. I mean, it's kind of like the middle ground between like edge AI, which we talk about all the time, and cloud-based LLM. You know, there's a whole swathe of device classes, I guess, you know, in between those two things, which you know, I guess I was surprised by Moltbot as well. It was like, oh shit, yeah, obviously, of course you should do that. But you know, had we had more foresight, it's like, well, all of those different, you know, levels of compute capabilities, you progress towards the edge and a little tiny microcontroller. All of those devices are potential to have the potential to have their own, you know, localized sovereign. I mean, the sovereign aspect of this is really interesting because, as you said, Pete, you know, today you can get ChatGPT or you can get Claude to learn you and to respond to queries based upon its understanding of you, but you're sacrificing an immense amount of privacy and, in most cases, I would guess, confidential information. You know, particularly, you know, all the folks that are using ChatGPT for work, I would imagine being able to access that data set and the insider trading potential of all of that. The amount of privacy that people are sacrificing in exchange for a small amount of personalization, if you could turn that around and say, you know, there's no sacrifice involved, you know, and and I think it also speaks to what we were talking about, the nature of advertising, Google's business model, because you're going from a world where you find people who like this stuff and tell them about it to, I'm going to find the stuff for myself based upon my own sovereign AI that's going to go out and discover and do and put into effect the things that I want to do. The notion of someone telling me what I'm interested in or serving up things like relevant.
You know what? I wonder, we should like have some kind of betting pool on which small country, which will be the first small country to have OpenClawD become its new president.
throw that up on Cal.
Oh no, he's getting Polymarket.
Polymarket,
yeah, the Polymarket.
Well, not wanting not to be the Debbie Downer, what I'm really interested in is to see how the cyber criminal actors leverage this thing, because it's a gift from God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It'll only take 24 hours now.
I'm calling from Microsoft technical support. Can you install this on your computer, please?
I mean, but that's the democratization of this thing is what you guys are talking about, is one of the most extraordinary aspects of this. But then also what's extraordinary is how ignorant people are in making this safe.
Yeah.
And how quickly this will diffuse,
right,
and will create, and its potential to create catastrophe. So,
and it will.
Yeah. And that is more likely than anything you just said Alistair, because think about it. All the big guys have been trying to figure out how to make privacy secure, trustworthy personalization on device, and it's friggin' hard, right? It's not that easy.
Well, if you could persuade people get sovereign AIs, if you could persuade them to download malware, if you could confuse them or kid them into downloading something, and you said instead of putting all of that confidential information and personal information, I mean, the way that people are using ChatGPT, it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, bank manager, financial advisor, lawyer, doctor, it's everything. But at least you're putting that confidential information in a relatively secure box in a Amazon data center or Microsoft data center, when all of that's distributed into these pathetically open and unprotected devices that I see sitting before me on my desk.
Yeah, but what's to prevent the agent from oversharing or actually proactively sharing your private information, or maybe even transmitting your whole graph, right? Your personal graph somewhere. I mean, this is the thing: it's not just about the data; it's the behavior around the data.
Now, you can assume that it's going to do all that stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Minority Report, future crime. Based on the queries this person has been making, though, we have a reason to believe it's
predictive behavior.
Look, hey man, think about it. Guys at your guys' level of technical prowess and awareness probably will have trouble figuring out how to, basically harden and secure this thing, and persistently, right? Not just in initial deployment, ongoing. Think about how ignorant 99.999, I mean, 7 sigmas of the population of the earth are not even remotely close to you guys in terms of competency and knowledge. That, it was like Namsho. The guy was wondering if in this agentic or AI session, they're going to talk about how they can give ChatGPT their banking information so that it can agentically go out and buy shit for them. And then the whole room, like, waiting to take notes. You go, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. Yeah, ChatGPT can do that. I didn't think of that.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I'm gonna go live in a Faraday cage or something, man.
It's like freaking techno AI. It's like agentic idiocracy, scaled out, and I mean at an extreme rate. And then, it's just freaking. Oh, perfect person to chime in, Debbie, Data Diva.
By the way, speaking of security, Rob, are your doors locked? Are you?
Yeah.
You're in a secure location.
They are now. They are. Okay. I'm not in a secure location.
Any carjacking going on?
I don't want a carjacking this time. It's a good point. Yeah. All right, we're secure now. I think we're locked.
Do you know what happened, Alistair?
No.
Oh, last week his boss showed up, Crawford Dupree, who's the president of IDC, who joined our show. By the way, Crawford, you are friggin' awesome, man. And and so Rob was like talking crap about me, calling me. What did you say that I was? I was full of it, right, or something like that.
Well, that's what I usually say about you. Yeah.
But right at that moment, I
was so focused because I was having to record it locally, and so I had my laptop in the passenger seat of the car. Mm-hmm. And I was recording it locally, and so I was super focused on that. And I was in a parking lot, and then I'm in the passenger seat. All of a sudden, a woman walks up and opens my door and starts to get in. And I'm like, whoa, and she was just getting into the wrong car. And so it was kind of freaky, know.
Maybe she was trying to take your laptop.
Maybe.
See you
not. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because I know I probably accidentally tried to get into the wrong car before too.
I think it was that rugged beard.
Yeah,
it was the rugged beard.
I think that's good,
That's what you wanted. That's right. All right, Data Diva, what's going on, girl?
Yeah, get on.
I see the avatar.
Everyone's having technical difficulties this morning.
on.
Ridiculous. Hey,
Come on, guys.
we're talking about your favorite subject.
Hello, oh, what?
We're talking about what's that thing called? Moltbot or
Moltbot, CLAWD. They got
it had to change its name a few times, didn't it?
Yeah. They got slapped. CLAWD. CLAWD. Had a little bit of a word about that. I think.
OpenClawD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a lobster.
I think I'm always concerned about anything that says, "Oh yeah, we need admin privileges to your computer." I'm like, no.
But as you know, most people just don't know that stuff, and they'll just say, "This is cool. Let's try it out." Oh man, yeah, everybody needs a little sandbox, I guess.
Well, it's going to be Debbie's fault because she goes on podcasts telling the entire world that one of the biggest security issues is password 1 2 3 4 5, and so now all these AIs are going to realize that, and then 99% of all access is going to be basically a password of 1 2 3 4 5.
Yeah,
there you go.
Password is password.
Game over.
I'm concerned people are going to give these things so much access. They're going to be like, "Oh, well, you said you wanted to go to Greece for vacation, so we sold your car, so now you can go to Greece."
Awesome.
We took out a reverse.
We figured you might like it. You might. So we sold your house as well, and cancelled.
Yeah, I love that. When I think of default passwords, here's some trivia for everybody, especially people who know about data and databases. This may not be the case anymore, but does anybody remember from back in the day what the default username and password for Oracle database was?
Admin.
No, it's more clever than that. It's a person. But it's a person and an animal. And it doesn't make any sense. And you'd think it'd be Larry. The answer is Scott Tiger.
Oh.
Yeah. So for all you Oracle DBAs out there, you're like, yes, somebody gets me finally. Because it was cooler than the default SQL Server thing, which was like SA, and then whatever your password is. And that was weird. SA. I guess that was system administrator or system account or whatever.
Yeah, system administrator.
2-letter.
Yeah.
SA. Oh my God.
1 2 3 4 5.
1 2 3 4. Yeah.
Right.
Totally
great. Yeah, if you could just be there, we're gonna get started at 9 a.m. on Saturday. That'd be great.
Yeah. It's scary, man. It really is. It's and
it's funny that we still have a sense of humor as we talk about the approaching apocalypse.
Yeah, that's why I played the apocalyptic blues.
Exactly.
But when did tech podcasts and discussions become scary? Because they always are now. And I'm trying to remember, when did we go from, this naive, optimistic hope about the cloud and how it was going to free everything? We were happy skipping around in the field full of flowers.
Yeah.
Like doom and we're all screwed. And in the last few years, was it COVID? Is it
maybe
a hangover?
Maybe
we're all deeply
maybe so. Yeah, maybe.
But it is no. I mean, everything I see, there's the consensus view on AI. I would say 10% is it might be quite good, and 50% is God, we're all screwed, and the 40% in between is somewhat ambivalent. It's sort of they could be bad. And I wonder, we're definitely over at that end of the scale. As with all things, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But the kind of alarm and panic about AI that you see, in particularly kind of more consumer media.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Listening to a thing on NPR yesterday, there was a thing about an advert for an AI company, I forget which one, in San Francisco, that said, massive billboard advert, your next employee will be an AI. you know, and it was like in your face in San Francisco tech community, you know, to the developers, you know, walking past with their lattes and matches on the way to work. I mean, it's like,
right.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard of a company that I saw a post, at least. It's like AIs that hire humans to do things in meat space. So
yeah,
you could sign up to be hired by an AI agent to do things in the real world for them.
And it'll pay you, right?
Yeah. So so now we're going to work for the AI.
Yeah. You'll be
I
managed.
think it traces back even earlier, Alistair. I mean, you go back to Facebook and, you know, when people started getting on that and everyone's parents started getting on it and people started getting scammed, flamed. And maybe it's like kind of the 2010s, 2015 time frame.
Actually,
really nasty. And then people realize that so much of their social lives and kind of emotional triggers are happening online. AI is just kind of a gasoline on the flames.
Yeah. So you know what? It's like Uber for humans. Like, you know, instead of humanoid robotics, actually AI is going to just use humans to do all the work in the physical world. That's bad news for humanoid robotics, right? Because that's going to be really tough.
Physical AI anymore. We can have all the laid off tech workers be the physical.
Yeah. You go in.
If you think about it from you're right. Going back to Facebook, you know, we started getting you know, deluged by this avalanche of information, you know, focused at our own particular kind of, you know, predilection. Right. Which in COVID, you know, I mean, politically, everybody went off into their corner of the room and listened to their thing. Whereas now what seems to be happening is in response to that deluge, rather than people kind of getting their heads screwed on and starting to figure out what's true and what's not, they're using AI to come up with an opinion because the amount of information is so massive that people don't have the time or attention span to actually filter through and figure out what's going on. So they ask Claude, you know, what's the answer to what's happening with X, what's happening with Y? And so you have this kind of like maelstrom of AI generated information being processed by AI and turned into opinion that human beings then just absorb and go on about their daily lives.
Right.
That's a very odd situation when
you go back to the Cambridge Analytica scandal and you know, the manipulation through digital information is kind of, you know, unfortunately things tend to slide toward bad stuff, like we were talking about the AI security stuff. And so people have money or power at stake. People start to manipulate, and that's what happened there. And then it was like trusting information, and you know, we realized people were being manipulated through bots and things, and that's all predates a lot of this current AI stuff.
Yeah,
it's been kind of a slide since the go-go days of the 2000, 1999 or whatever, when everyone was like, "What's the internet?"
Well, 2000, we were all crapping ourselves about the whole world was going to end because we turned the clock, the calendar turned the dial, and so we came out of the panic of the 2000s and the amount of money that was generated by tech companies and consultancies and what have you during that period. You know, I'd say early 2000s in this kind of happy halo feeling of like, oh, we're not all dead. And we've actually got quite a lot of cash, and you know, life's pretty good. It didn't last past the end of the 2000s. Then we were back.
All of our financial information now is all online, so I think that's ripe for manipulation too. All of our.
And you know, actually, so one of the things I did was look back at what were the companies, or which companies were generating the most revenue, not valuation, right? Because valuation was tremendously disconnected at the time. And it was like GE, IBM, Walmart. Walmart was the most valuable company generated the most revenue at the time. You had banks, financial services, telcos, very big. Verizon, AT&T, they were in the top 10, right? Or top 20. And when you looked at the valuations, you had companies like Cisco that were off the charts that generated almost it's like minuscule revenue compared to the top revenue makers. And what you notice is that we actually had an industrial base. We actually had an economy of substance. And now we have an economy built on bullshit. You know? and social, I mean, it's like entertainment, right? Really, more than anything else, it's about advertising. Advertising doesn't have intrinsic value at all. And here's the problem. It can get cut off, and especially in a fragmented global landscape. Companies like Microsoft, like Google, they can get cut off. Facebook, they can get straight out banned, like they are in China, and probably increasingly across the world. And probably the next shoe to drop in terms of these bans will be Europe. They'll say, screw you guys. You guys are spying on our people. You're creating graphs of our populace and our citizenry, and you are becoming a national security risk, right? And they can get cut off. And then if our economy is based on these type of companies, right, and we don't manufacture, we haven't figured out structurally how to make that viable, because we haven't. What kind of future does the U.S. economy have? And I don't know, man. The more I look at who tops the charts in terms of revenue these days, it's companies that make money off of advertising, not tech, advertising, right?
I think that risk of getting banned is very real. I mean, without getting into Huawei was largely eradicated from telco infrastructure, in Europe because of concerns about, the Chinese government's backdoor into those systems. In Denmark today, whereas 80% of people last year viewed the US as a friendly ally, that's below 20%. So at what point does the European Union start considering America to be a security threat and start trying to? I mean, the scenario where Europe tries to start banning American tech companies is hard to contemplate and messy in every single regard. But I think what you'll see is nibbling away at the edge.
But everyone's been accusing Europe for being non-innovative, not inventing or being innovative. Well, it's like you're giving them every reason to do exactly that. And sovereign AI, sovereign tech, sovereign advertising. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You're giving them every excuse to do that because to this point they've delegated to a lot of these US firms, right? Because they have the scale. But then now when these walls start coming up, what happens to the TAM of these companies? It's just boom, gone.
Well, I think,
and it's immediate. Do you know what I'm saying? It's immediate. And they're substitutes. That's the thing. There are substitutes.
But I think also companies tech companies will still do well that are providing the infrastructure for these kind of sovereign systems. So you go back to the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts and even AWS, who are not really none of them are in the advertising business, right? So they're infrastructure. So
also, I think, Pete, the silicon companies. I mean, if you think about, who sells the bullets behind all of this, and who's figured out how to do something that is phenomenally difficult and phenomenally expensive. Well, it's TSMC with 2 nanometer production process at nodes, being able to produce that. I think, that space is. Right. I mean, you saw Texas Instruments and Silicon Labs this last week. There's a lot of focus on the very, very, I'd say, the entry level of infrastructure. And I think that, coupled with the push towards, sovereign, federated learning based AI models that sit within a factory wall or sit within a contained environment and don't send data outside, that supports a world where different countries start pushing for their own versions of that. They can have their own, instantiation of a system that previously was serving up vast amounts of data to a centralized entity that boosted their stock price. Because even though you can't really explain how advertising is going to work in 10 years' time, you already got all the data, so you'll probably figure it out. That I think underpins a lot of the valuation of Google, Microsoft, and AWS, because they've got, they are the pipe. They see what's in the pipe. If that starts to diminish, then their ability to, figure it out in the future starts to lessen.
Yeah, but for advertisers, they're benefiting from the global or relatively global scope of reach that these platforms have. You start divvying that up, and you know what?
Playground.
That's a huge TAM reduction.
Did you see the advertising? The Anthropic's going to come out with some Super Bowl ads. By the way, go Hawks! Super Bowl ads. Anthropic, they're basically mocking OpenAI's ads and their chatbots. I don't know if you've seen those online, but
I saw one of them.
Yeah,
so people are doing the pull-ups.
Yeah, well, there's two people talking to each other. One of them is supposed to be like the AI response. It's this person's like, yeah, I'm looking for some advice in my business. And of course, the other person responds in this happy, like, that's a great idea. Do you want me to start a list of, then they insert like some advertising into the conversation, like totally out of nowhere. And the person's like, what? You know, like,
it's like,
so OpenAI now is going to be like, speaking of advertising, be like, oh, I'm going to just insert random ads into our chatbot responses. Try to monetize that way.
That's funny.
With AI. So opportunity, of course, for Claude and Anthropic to stick to business and not pollute their answers with that.
Well, but
you know how there's. Go ahead.
I mean,
there's always been there's always been this countdown clock to the apocalypse or whatever for the how many seconds to midnight or whatever on the nuclear. We should have a clock for that with AI. Well, actually, we could have two clocks. There's the one of where it just totally takes over, but there's also the other one that might be just as likely is when all of a sudden we all know that nobody actually has any money in their bank accounts except for NVIDIA. And we're all playing this little funny money game. But at some point in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, whatever, something's going to happen where all those IOUs that OpenAI, like, yeah, we're going to pay you $50 billion for this or whatever. Something's going to happen where all of a sudden it's like, we don't actually have the money. And then this ripple effect.
It's already happening. That's the thing. It's already happening. It's been happening for 3 months. It's just we've entered the denial phase. And I remember when I was in the Bay Area, when all the dot-com thing was collapsing, how intense the denial was. I mean, it was the obvious thing that was happening. And you saw even I was invested in some of these high-flying, B2B companies. Guess what? I lost everything. I mean, these companies just freaking disappeared after they went up like 5,000% or some ridiculous thing like that. But I ended up holding on to these turds because I thought, hey, it can't.
You know what, Leonard? Leonard, I want you to call it right now. I want you to come out and say it. I want you to make the call right now. You're talking. You and I have talked about this. I want you to officially come out and say. It's happening now. It's what's happening. What's bursting. It's just come out and call it.
The AI bubble. Yeah.
You're the guy. I want you to be on. You're the guy on the record. The AI bubble is bursting, but you get the credit, Leonard.
I got to say, right now, the people to bet on are the semiconductor providers, because if you look at the stock performance, they're the guy. I mean, the guys in the middle. The fact that the AI companies are starting to introduce advertising into the feed. How disappointing is that? They haven't come up with a new business model. There's no actual way to justify. So you've got a company like OpenAI piling billions of dollars, a lot of it off balance sheet, into infrastructure, reaching the market reach, market grab, dominate that, blah, 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 with no visible path to actually monetizing any of that stuff. And so they're falling back on, let's just flog them some adverts. The only companies that are really, the winners, the guaranteed winners, are the silicon providers. Everyone else in between is trying to figure out.
As long as you're shipping it to that's
as long as you get paid. As long as you get paid. Yeah.
AMD just took a hit with their earnings. So
you know what's going to happen? Oh my God, I can see it now. As you're seeing the guys being, the perp walks, everybody's in handcuffs, like how all this ends. And then you're going to find out that all the funny money thing, it was masterminded by Andy Fastow from Enron.
Oh yeah, and by the way,
I thought Sam Bankman-Fried.
Enron was one of the highest revenue generating companies back in 1998. Yeah. It was all funny money.
As soon as I heard Alistair say something about, like, I don't know, off books or whatever, it's like
you got triggered.
Well, many years ago, Jeff Skilling was briefly a client of a project that I led for Enron.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we did a weather futures trading system and a broadband spot market system to figure out how to do either of those things. The broadband market didn't work because it's not a fungible asset, but the weather trading system they introduced, and we presented to Skilling like 3 or 4 times. And Enron at that point was in this massive building in London overlooking Buckingham Palace, the old Coldwell, but just oodles of money, brilliant people wandering around all over the place. And back then it felt like something's missing here. It was a bit like the Logan's Run. Somewhere in the back room, someone's being turned into Soylent Green or whatever it was. It was very
movie, but yeah, okay, we get the point.
Moving all together here. By the way, the Dow Jones is up 964 points today. So just
what?
Yeah, because of NVIDIA, I think is.
It's obviously not being driven by Amazon today.
No,
everybody's up today. So something.
Not the software guys. But see, that's the funny thing. I mean, they don't even know what to make of all of this stuff. It's just they're so confused. But the big.
I love predicting the future outcomes. Remember we talked about this. I love that you brought up Logan's Run. It's like, are we gonna be in the Matrix? Is it gonna be like Logan's Run? Is it gonna be like Soylent Green? I don't know.
Dystopia. Like your dystopia.
Was Soylent Green Logan's Run, or was that
different? That's
Marathon Man?
Different movies, but
different movies.
Soylent Green, though. Soylent Green is made out of people, as it turns out. Obviously that was the big Charlton Heston thing there.
Yeah.
This is exciting stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Wow. Pick your dystopia. I love it.
Yeah, pick your dystopia. Maybe that's what we call this episode. But yeah, it's just getting so ridiculous, and the AI slop problem is real. Have you seen some of these AI generated reports on whatever Bloomberg, et cetera, all these different financial service outlets? They're so bad, but they are shaping the narrative. So now the markets are going to be eventually shaped by the hallucinations of AI. And they will probably create exaggerated bubbles, right? And the only way that you're going to really understand what the ground truth is you have to go out into the physical world as a human and actually try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
you're going to have to escape outside the city seals, outside the dome.
Yeah, because you know what? Here's the thing that I realized: the valuations of companies may be up, but their actual revenues are tiny. And in bubbles like this, the thing is to your point, Rob, a lot of the players that need to channel the value down into the ecosystem make almost no money. There's no uplift. Let's say, for these software guys, they're getting killed, right? The ISVs. It's funny because they're growing their businesses organically. They made these ridiculous claims about agentic AI and all this stuff, but obviously there's no way that they're able to prove how much to attribute AI to their growth. But it's clear that they're not able to monetize the way that they had asserted very early on. But it's just so funny to see them become victims of a tool that actually they can leverage themselves, right? And they're the guys who would make something like agentic viable for an enterprise. They're up there. First in line. It's not like Anthropic and these guys, right? Salesforce and ServiceNow. These guys will also use the same tools. They'll use OpenAI's coding crap to augment their SDLCs. At the end of the day, you still have to deal with, decades of old shit, right? And but I think they're just trying to set up a pivot and shift, shift money, take it out of these companies so they can dump it into these IPOs for Anthropic and OpenAI. That's what I think is happening.
I think OpenAI is kind of I don't want to say toxic, but they are problematic these days. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why Microsoft kind of took a tumble, is the entanglements with OpenAI.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. The RPO stuff is risky. There's no real money there. There's funding. There's no revenue.
Yeah, but they haven't found a business model. I mean, they started as kind of an infrastructure, Gazindas and Gazout as infrastructure. And then they said, no, we're going to go direct to consumer. We're going to do chatbots. We're going to charge for it. We're going to do videos. We're going to, instead of powering platforms, they want to be the platform.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, so you're competing with who you're selling to. Meanwhile, Anthropic's like, we're just going to be this business engine for AI. And, we'll see how it plays out. But I think
the bottom line is this. Nobody wants to pay for it. Right. That's the biggest problem right now. No, they were talking about
AGI. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to pay for it.
It's not essential. That's the problem. It's not essential. You can live with AI and be free.
So we're doing all the same .com business models. So it'll be free for a while, but then they'll upgrade to the paid program plan. Mm-hmm. And then no one ever went to the paid plan, and then the .com bubble burst. Yeah. It's all about the eyeballs. That's right.
We're going to capture the eyeballs.
Yeah. Remember people talking about, I own this internet property.
Yeah.
Whatever.com.
Internet property.
Like that meant something, like you own land or something.
But isn't that the same thing? Back then, having a website, being able to drive personalized commerce through it and advertising, or, having, personalized product catalog. I mean, we had all that stuff back then. In fact, personalization was invented in the .com era by Broadvision. I don't know if people remember Broadvision, ATG. Eventually Cold Fusion had their own
we were programming Cold Fusion.
Yeah, it was cool stuff. I actually really thought they did a great job until they became irrelevant. But
Cold Fusion versus server pages versus Java servlets. Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, those were good times, man.
They were. That was really fun.
I think I want to be put into the matrix where I'm back in the 90s, I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. That means that we'd be spending a lot of time in the tech section of Barnes and Nobles. That's where you saw
that was like the biggest section in the bookstore was tech, computer books.
Back, man. Barnes and Nobles are back.
Yeah.
See, I want all that. We're going to go back there. Well, of course, remember the Matrix. The Matrix was the time frame was 1999. It was the height of Western civilization. Was the end of the 90s. It's all downhill after that.
Well, and for Alistair's comment, we are on a slide toward digital dystopia. Choose your own dystopia.
Choose your own dystopia.
It can be personalized.
That's right. Personalized dystopia just for you.
Would you like to turn that into a 5 bullet point slide for you?
That's right. Shall I make a task list for you?
Oh my God. You guys are so funny. You know what was cool is I used to go to the Barnes and Noble off of San Carlos, I think it was. And they had a Guitar Center right next to it. So that was really convenient. So I would go do my tech homework at the Barnes and Nobles and then skip on over to the Guitar Center and just screw around for a little while.
I love that. I need
to bid you gentlemen goodbye, unfortunately. I've got to go and...
go.
All right. Customer. You have to go do real things, don't you? Like meetings and business and money and all that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Debbie was hanging on the whole time. She didn't say much. There she is.
All right.
You guys are awesome.
You need to jump in there, Debbie.
Debbie is an AI agent, and she's just there going, "You guys are awesome."
Yeah. She's in her mode.
You're awesome. You're gonna rock it, guys.
Awesome.
I love you guys. You're awesome.
Oh my gosh.
My clothing.
It's hard to hear her. Yeah, no, I get it. Debbie, thanks for jumping on. I know that all of us had technical issues this time, but Rob, you want to take us out on another ridiculous episode of IoT Coffee Talk?
Yes, it was. It was ridiculous, and yet prescient, because you'll think it's crazy, you'll think we're nuts, and we're just like some kind of comedy show, and then you're going to find out later on that we called it and we nailed it early on. We nailed the whole dystopia that's coming.
2026.
Exactly. Mark your calendar. That's right. This is when it all happened. Leonard Lee called it. We are already bursting the AI bubble. People are in denial. They just don't know it yet. They're like, la, 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 no, my NVIDIA is going to go to $1 million per share. You know,
it's going to be $250,000
crypto
last year.
The Bitcoin guys kept telling me, just keep piling it in, man. It's going to $1 million.
It's going to go to $1 million by the end of the year, even though it's like...
I love it. Oh my gosh, the real world comes crashing in. So hopefully, if everything works out, you know, you'll get to choose your own dystopia, you know, for your AI overlords. You know, hopefully, do you want Logan's Run? You may die at 30, but, you know, you'll have a blast up until then. The Matrix might be another option. Hopefully not Soylent Green. We need to think of other possible dystopias, actually. People need to be able to switch between dystopias, maybe. Yeah. I just hope that the AI overlords, when they take control, they let me be the guy that makes queso dip for people. If that's what they'll let me do, you know, like when you're talking about the meat space and giving me a task, I'm just going to make queso dip.
You should sign up for that. Queso maker.
Yeah. I want to be queso maker.
Queso for the AI.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all I want. That's all I wanted to do was make a queso.
God.
All I wanted was some country, and they wouldn't give it to me. Anyway. I love you guys, and much love to Elevate Communities, and we're going to see you next week. Hopefully we haven't been transposed by AI avatars as we've been swept away and taken off in a truck somewhere. You never know.
Bye-bye.
Faraday cage, you might get one of those too. Watch out for OpenClawD. Watch out. It's
Alistair Galactic.
Lobster OpenClawD. Yeah.